Well, good afternoon, folks. As you know, it's a fantastic Ox Baker. Now, the other weekend, Greg took me aside. He actually grabbed me and he said, Ox, I'm your friend and I'm ashamed of you. Ashamed of me. He said, I just checked out the websites and everybody in the country is selling things of Ox Baker. They're selling your t-shirt, they're selling your figures, they're selling your dolls. Ox Baker, they're selling your autographed pictures. And I don't think that's fair to you, Ox Baker. And he said, now sit down. And I sat down, I was really listening, I couldn't believe this. He said, you know, we're gonna start an Ox Baker store and we're going to have authentical autographed pictures. You know, he said, every time they buy something, we're going to send one of these here with your name. So that's authentical. It's not going to be a fake. You know, people all over the country ask me for my autograph. He showed me at baseball. Folks, I couldn't believe it. A guy was talking, he gave me a cry story. Ox, these baseball are for crippled children. I signed a whole bag of them. Greg grabbed me that day and said, Ox, they're selling for $28, $38, and you're not getting anything for that. It's not for a charity. It's for them people. They're greedy people. But we want to make Ox Baker's store as good or different than anybody else. Folks, when you get an autographed picture, when you get a t-shirt, when you get an Ox Baker doll, when you get the best of Ox Baker, and the best of Ox Baker is showing the only man in the history of wrestling that threw the great Andre the Giant over the top rope, the best of Ox Baker. But my name is going to be, this is the authentical Ox Baker tape, ladies and gentlemen. Escape from New York. We figured it out, maybe 200,000 to 300,000 tapes of Ox Baker were sent out without my autograph on them, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not mad at anybody that did that. I told Greg, shut up! When I'm talking to you, you're gonna listen, you're gonna get Ox Baker store. You bring all the things you have. All the pictures you have. Bring me the picture of Sylvester Stallone and you know. Give me the picture of you and the great Killer Kowalski. Get all these pictures, Ox Baker. I know you have hundreds of thousands. They're out there. They've been selling for a few years. But you know, folks, you can change. And I listened to Greg. I went home, I cussed him under my breath a couple times, but he said, listen to me because I am so sick and tired of seeing other people doing this, right? He said, because, you know, it's a shame after professional sports that these professionals have nothing to go back to. I see football players, I see basketball players, I see baseball players. They're at my signings too, folks. It's a way we can make a new living, and I have created a new idea. You know, 11 years ago, I wrote the first cookbook, Ox Baker's Cookbook, to the Fallen Warrior. 50 guys that I wrestled. And ladies and gentlemen, they're no longer with us, but my stories are in that book, 50 stories. The other day, I pulled up a tape, and, you know, about a few weeks ago, the great Strongbow had died, the greatest Indian wrestler of all time. And I had 50 of his tapes. I got them now. And he said, we're going to put them on your store, Ox Baker. And I said, well, I have 50 more of Wahoo McDaniels. He said, we're going to put them on your store, Ox Baker. We're going to put these tapes showing Andre getting thrown over the top rope. The greatest riot in the history of wrestling. 26 stitches in the back of my head because I didn't realize for 20 years why the people got worked up. I hit Big Ernie Ladd 7 times, and someone in the audience, that Big B, you know, I never cuss on these tapes. That Big B is trying to kill Ernie Ladd, and they slapped the chair upside of my head. And as I went down, believe it or not, folks, I heard some in the audience, we're going to cut this big fool up. I got up and I ran. I want to tell you, I probably set a record for the first 200 yards. I went about 500 yards. But folks, when you log into my new store. You know, I took it chewing out. Greg said you had it coming. And he said, Ox, I understand you're actually going to start a cook show. My cookbook, yes. I've sold 3,000 of my first cookbook. And my second cookbook is just coming out. I'm going to people's homes. He said, you know, on the show you have to get a valet. So I tried to pick a girl out. I had to talk to 3 of them. We're going to find out how many could count up to 10 by going by 1, 2, 3, 4. But I got Lady Katie. And she said, Ox, if I'm going to be your valet, I want one of your famous aprons on. I said, yes, you can have one of my. She said, I will help you. We'll get that Ox Baker store up with your cookbook. And every one of these signed, like I said, my picture, the movie, I didn't mention my movie Escape from New York. How many thousands of pictures been sold to Escape from New York? But my name is going to be, Authentico. That's Greg's terminology. Authentico autograph, anything. You get a t-shirt, you get with Ox Baker's Authentico name. If you get a movie, my name will be on there. It'll be Ox Baker Story. And you know, folks, Lady Katie said, if we got to do them cook shows, we're going to go all over the country. I've already talked to somebody in Albany, New York. I talked to someone in Staten Island, New York. I've talked to several people right here in Connecticut. People are building homes. And Ox, come and do the Ox. You know, the cookbook on TV, the stories, the cook shows are the most popular shows. We're going to have Ox Baker cooking. He's going to come up there with his t-shirt on and big, mean, and ugly, but he's going to take that off, and him and Lady Katie going to put their aprons on. We're going to do the meatloafs. We're going to do the chili that won contest. We're going to do the salads. The other day, believe it or not, folks, the other day, Ox Baker learned to do banana bread. And that's going to be in my second cookbook, which is going to come out too later. Not 40 stories, not 50 stories, but folks, 75 stories of Ox and his recipes. You know, and folks, they're all in the side cover. This here name will be put up there. That name will be in, that'll be Authentico. And folks, you will have something. You'll have my t-shirt with my name on. You'll have my movies, right? You see my valet, Lady Katie. She'll be right there. And we're going to cook. We're going to show you folks. And the cookbook still on sale. I just brought 20 the other day and already sold 4 of them. You know, people love. What do wrestlers do other than wrestle? Do they just yell and scream all the time? No. We do things because at the end of your career, when you've got the last can upside of your head, ladies and gentlemen, you've got to do something else. And so, Greg, I wasn't happy I got chewed out, but I said home, I said, you know, he's absolutely right. He didn't have to take the time. Folks, we don't have to take the time to make the autograph Authentico. He calls it Authentico autograph.
Authentic
which is all right.
certificate.
Huh?
Authentic certificate.
I'm sorry, I got to get that right.
Certificate of authenticity.
I don't want to get chewed out again, but it's going to be.
Get it right, Ox.
It's going to be coming out real soon. And folks, thank you for listening. And the next time I come on, I'm going to have my ballet with her little apron on, folks. And I'm going to tell you that's a treat instead of a treatment. But how is this again? Authentico.
Certificate of authenticity.
I can't even pronounce it, but that's what it's going to be, folks. And I want to thank you for listening. Have a nice evening, and thanks, Greg, for chewing me out. I needed that.